Hi, this is Gloria Schur. I'm an independent consultant with Close to My Heart, and I'm here today to show you a card that I made using the Cricut Artbooking. And I used a couple things from the Cricut Artiste, but you could make it with the Cricut Artbooking and just not use the stamp set I used. But the first thing I do when I go to make a card is I start out with the card base, which is Close to My Heart has a value pack of 50 cards and envelopes, and they're 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, so they're perfect size. So I buy those and I use that as my base when I'm making a card like this. Now I do use other sizes, and some of them I make with my own cardstock and make the base myself. But this one I use the Close to My Heart card base for. So what you have to do first is you can either do it by hand, cut out the pink piece back here, that's Pixie, Close to My Heart Pixie color, and that one can be cut out by hand, or I know this may sound crazy, but I use a square. I get the square from Cricut Artiste, and there are other rectangles and other things on some of our other cartridges, but they're rounded, and I prefer the square because it's got a smooth squared off corners, not rounded. So then the overlay is the next part that you have to cut out, and then the piece that lays on top of that, which is actually a mini page album, and it has 3 holes over here which you can cover. Well, you could cut them off if you want to, or you can cover them with bling, or you can cover them with a ribbon like I did. And I've done this quite often because I like using these different pages and stuff because they've got such pretty designs for them. So that was in the Cricut Artbooking, both of these, the overlay and this piece here, and then the little owls also on Cricut Artbooking. So I just decide which colors I wanted, and I set it up on my Cricut Design space. But you can do these all on your Cricut Expression as well. So I'm going to walk through and tell you the sizes and what I used. So the first one, I created the pink background. Like I said, I used the square, and it's found in the Artiste on page 48. So it's right here on page 48. Now, if you're using Expression, you might not be able to do this one the way you want because it's a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, 4 1/4 wide by 5 1/2. But on the reverse side of that one is also a little playing card that is a rectangle. So you could use this one, which is on page 49 if you wanted to. It's just that it's got corners that are rounded, and I prefer the square ones, squared off corners when I'm making my cards. Sometimes I like the rounded ones, but this particular one I wanted the squared off one. And then after the pink pixie background was cut out, then I used the Cricut Artbooking to do the overlay. And it is on page 47. And again, I made it 5 1/2 inches tall, so that's the height, by 4 1/4 wide. And these overlays are very easy to resize. So that's what I did with that one, and it's a beautiful overlay. And then the piece that I told you that was the mini book that was on top of that is this one. And that is under the photo mat too. And I'll put all these on the screen for you so you'll be able to find them easily and you can write them down. But that's the part that I put over top of the overlay. I just thought it would look good together. And then the owl was on page 84, and here's the little owl, and it has several pieces that it cuts out to go on top of this piece, and so I glued all those on top of that piece and before I put it on the owl, except for the eyes. The eyes are there's no background. So you can see the eyes, you just put them on whatever background you've got. So you can see mine's striped background, but I went ahead and put those eyes in there, which it turned out looked pretty good. So that's the pieces for that. And then the inside, the sentiment, oops, sorry, I got the wrong one. The sentiment is on page 65, I think it was. Whoops. Yes, 65. Here's the sentiment. This is one for inside and outside, and both of those it tells you on the stamp set to use a 1 7/5, 1 3/4, and that would be I think that was the width. Yeah, because this is a lot longer over here. So it would be the width, and it was 1.75. And I used the same size for inside, and then I made a purple piece to go around it a little bit bigger, which you can just gauge that just as go up the next step if you're on the expression. but I think it was 2 for the, it was 1.75 for this piece, and I made a 2 for the next piece on the width. So that's that piece. So basically you cut out the pink one and you glue it on to this card, to the card base, and then you do the overlay and glue it on here as well. And before you glue this piece on, which I used kaleidoscope, close to my heart kaleidoscope paper, which I absolutely love, you want to do whatever you're going to do to that piece. You can either cut off that edge there, which is not a lot, or you can put a ribbon. If you put a ribbon, you've got to put it around this one piece by itself before you glue it on. So I did that. I put a ribbon. I used my new bow it all and made some double loop bows with it. And then the next thing was to stamp this sentiment and to glue it on, and then I put foam underneath that, and I glued the little owl. I went ahead and glued him directly because, like I said, the eyes have to be glued onto the card itself, so there's really no way to pop that out. He's kind of popped out already with these different layers. So the stamp set I used for this is called Made from Scratch, and you can see the thank you card, and it tells you on here, you can't really see that, it shows that it's Artiste. Tells you it's an Artiste cartridge, and or you can cut it out by hand if you don't have the Artiste, but it's 1 3/4, and that's what I used for that, for the white part. And then the inside, I decided to go ahead and finish the inside, which I do most of the time. The inside, I use the same frame for the sentiment, and I use the same thing that the little piece of on the front here, the same one here. I cut off the edge, as you can see. I cut off the 3 little circles, and this one is sized at 4.07 is what I did by here, but you can, whatever you size this one, the little pink one, that's what you want to size this. So I made it the same width as that one, and then I made it 1.5 inches tall so I could cut off the very edge of it. So it worked out pretty good. So that's the inside of my card, and the stamp set that's used inside my card is called Finding the Words, and it has lots and lots of words on it. And it's D1646. I'll put that on the screen for you as well. And the butterfly I used inside was also on there. So I used the For Someone Special, which is on this one, Finding the Words. So those are the stamp sets I used, and the base was the little card from the pack, value pack from Close to My Heart. The pink was Pixie. The next overlay was Gypsy. Color was Gypsy. And then this is Kaleidoscope. And then the ribbon was just Ofri that I had in my stash. And then I also used the same colors here, Gypsy and Pixie. And then I stamped with Gypsy for the ink. And then on the inside I did the same thing. I stamped it and I inked the edges on the inside. I didn't want to ink the edges on this one because I thought it looked better with the white frame around the edge, but this one I inked on the edges. So I hope you enjoyed my card today, and check out my blog post. I will get it up as soon as I can. It'll probably be a few days, and I will have all the things on here as well, but I'll put the sizes and everything on this video. So again, it was Cricut Artbooking and Cricut Artiste that I used to create this card, and most of it was Cricut Artbooking. So thank you and have a fabulous day. Bye.